Sermon 11. In this sermon, Imam Ali describes the mental condition of those Muslims who in reality were hypocrites and had in their inner hearts no place for truth, justice and religion. To serve their purposes, they stooped to every vice and evil, and the Satan was their guide and Lord. These hypocrites, to gain success, have accepted the devil as their Lord and have depended upon his help and support. The devil in his turn uses them as his underlings and accomplices. He has poised their souls with doubts and suspicions about truth and with schism and hypocrisy in religion. These vices, creeping secretly and incomprehensively into their minds, gradually establish a very firm hold there, till these persons reach a stage when they only see what the devil wants them to see and speak what he wants them to speak. He instigates them to every kind of evil and makes every sin and vice appear to them as charming, beautiful and beneficial. They act as if they are confederates of the Satan to establish his authority, and they propagate his lies, delusions and deceits. Sermon 12. To understand sermons 12 to 20 and a few others, some information of the reasons and events which brought about these speeches and knowledge of personalities who were responsible for these events is necessary. The first and foremost among them was Zubair. This sermon deals with him only, a cousin of his. His mother was sister of Abu Talib and Abdullah. His wife was sister of Muslimin Aisha. After the death of Caliph Uthman, Zubair took the oath of allegiance to Imam Ali, and later on he changed his mind, and along with Talha and Muslimin Aisha, he joined the rebel against Imam Ali, and the Battle of Jamal took place. Zubair's contention was that his oath of allegiance was based upon hypocrisy and mental reservation. According to Allama Ibn Abil Hadid, this contention was false, because when Zubair first took the oath of allegiance, Imam Ali warned him, saying, "Zubair, I am afraid you will break this oath." Zubair replied, "Do not be apprehensive on my account. I shall not go back upon my oath. Let Allah be my witness to the truth of my words." The real reason, Ibn Abil Hadid says, for Zubair and Talha to go back upon their oaths was that Muawiyah made fool of them. When Muawiyah learned that Muslims were unanimous in accepting Ali as their ruler, he wrote a letter to Zubair and sent it through a man from Bani Umayyah. In that letter, Muawiyah wrote, "This letter is from Muawiyah to Amir al-Mu'mineen, commander of the faithful, Zubair. He be informed that I have taken oath of allegiance for his caliphate from people of Syria, not only for his caliphate but also to the effect that Talha will be the caliph after him. The people have agreed to both. They are under my influence and have always obeyed my command. You should take care of Basra and Kufa and should not allow Ali to take hold of these rich and powerful provinces. Once these provinces as well as Syria come under your sway, what shall be left to Ali will not be big enough to be covered with the mulberry leaf. To gather people of Basra and Kufa around you and to drive all the rest from Ali. The best course is to start the propaganda that he incited the people to murder Caliph Uthman." The bait was very alluring for poor Zubair and Talha. They were no match to the wiles of Muawiyah. They started dreaming of the caliphate, or at least of the rulership of rich and powerful provinces for themselves or their sons. In the cloud of dust which had covered the camel of the messenger of Muawiyah, they saw a silver lining. They even did not take the trouble to find out whether Muawiyah had actually taken the oath of allegiance for them or for himself. Forgotten was the oath of allegiance. Forgotten was Allah, whom they had called as witness to trustworthiness of their oaths. Forgotten was fealty, faithfulness, loyalty and devotion sworn by them, and forgotten were the tradition of the Holy Prophet to which they had themselves been citing in favor of Imam Ali. The glitter of kingship dimmed their vision to the realities of truth and justice, and they shamelessly declared that their oath of allegiance was hypocrisy, and foolishly acting as the first line of offense on Muawiyah's side. They suffered a defeat, lost their lives, and could not secure anything for their sons, but had done very useful service to the cause of Muawiyah. The Imam in this sermon discusses the point raised by Zubair that his allegiance was based on hypocrisy. Zubair's position in the Battle of Jamal and his death are sadly interesting events of history. Of the army that rose to fight against Imam Ali, al-Mu'minin Aisha was the commander-in-chief. Zubair's son, Abdullah, was the chief of the staff, and Talha and Marwan bin Hakam were other officers besides Zubair. Just before the start of the battle, Imam Ali called one of his officers, Abdullah bin Abbas, and handed him his sword and spear, and came out in the field, unarmed and unattended by anybody. He called Zubair to come out from his side. Zubair came out well armed and well guarded. When he came nearer, the Imam reminded him of a certain event which had taken place during the lifetime of the Holy Prophet, and the warning given by him to Zubair. The Imam said, "Zubair, do you remember that particular day when you embraced me before our Holy Prophet, and he had inquired of you, 'Do you love Ali so much?' And you had replied, 'Yes, my Lord, why not? He is my uncle's son.' Hearing this, our Holy Prophet had warned you in the following words, 'Remember, Zubair, you will one day come out to fight against Ali, and you will certainly be on the wrong. Remember, the man who kills Ali, and the man who is killed by Ali, and the man who fights against Ali will go to hell.'" The whole incident came to Zubair's mind. He remembered the warning and realized his folly. He turned his horse's head towards his army, went back to his group of warriors, and saw that he would not fight against Imam Ali. His son Abdullah, a sworn enemy of Ali, rebuked his father for this change of mind, saying that women of Arab would call him a coward. Zubair got excited, came out again in the field, holding a spear without a point, and attacked the ranks of the Imam's army. When the Imam saw him coming again, he gave orders that nobody should fight him, and nobody should harm him, even if he attacks. When Zubair reached the Imam's army, he passed through rows after rows of well-armed soldiers standing still. He attacked them with the butt end of his spear, and found that nobody was replying to his attacks. They stood mute as if carved out of stone. Thrice he attacked the army like this, and then he left the battlefield and rode towards Wadi Saba, where he was killed by a fanatic, Amr bin Jarmus. After the battle, Amr brought the sword in his hand and said how often he had defended Islam and the Muslims. "I swear that my cousin was neither a coward nor a miser. He was misguided and fooled." When Amr asked for a reward for having killed Zubair, the Imam replied, "Your reward is hell. You were not in my army. You were not in the battlefield. You had no orders to kill anybody, let alone Zubair. You had no business to take law into your hands. If you think that you are my follower, then you ought to have waited for my orders. Even my officers had orders not to harm him, but to allow him to pass through their ranks and files unmolested." This Amr later on was killed in the Battle of Naharwan, fighting against Imam Ali. Zubair says that he swore the oath of allegiance to me hypocritically, with mental reservations, that he placed in my hand his hand and not his heart. What a strange assertion. Not only strange but harmful to him. Did he realize that? He confesses the oath of fealty and allegiance, and at the same time he admits that he had hidden my enmity in his heart of hearts. His oath of loyalty and allegiance to me is a fact accepted by him and witnessed by thousands of others. It is for him now to give justifiable reasons of his hypocrisy, or to once again take the oath of allegiance and fealty. Sermon 13. Before the Battle of Jamal, Talha, Zubair and their party started a malicious campaign against Imam Ali, boasting of superiority of their arms, bravery of their followers, invincibility of their army, and cunningness of their plans. They predicted a crushing defeat and total annihilation of the army of Imam Ali, futility of his plans, and worthlessness of his tactics. But the battle proved how hollow were their boastful claims, how glaringly apparent was their cowardice, and how ignoble were the deaths which Talha and Zubair had to face. In this sermon, Imam Ali has referred to this propaganda and to his own policy of not boasting. These people were very loud in their boastful declaration and very conspicuous with their pomp and pageantry. Yet, in spite of all this, they proved very timorous and cowardly. Our policy is to believe more in deeds than in words. Not to boast, but to attain. We never talk of success unless we have achieved it. Sermon 14. Imam Ali delivered this sermon when, after Talha and Zubair breaking their oaths of allegiance and serving their connections with him, went away to Makkah. He, through his prevision and foresight, realized that Muawiyah was behind all that mischief. He was making Talha and Zubair as cat's paw, and they were acting on his behest. He foresaw the result of their rebellion and predicted the same. Followers of truth and religion, beware that Satan has amassed his followers and has mustered his cavalry and infantry. But I have my prescience with me. Neither my intelligence ever confused me, nor kept me in doubt about truths and facts, nor was I ever deceived or prevailed upon by others. Let them try their worst. I swear by Allah that I also shall put up such a fight that those who confront me shall not leave the battlefield alive, and those who escape death shall not dare to fight against me again. Sermon 15. During the Battle of Jamal, the camel, when Imam Ali appointed his son Muhammad Hanafiya as the commander of his army, he gave him the following instructions. Remember, my son, mountains may move, may leave their places, but you, on no account, should retreat or run away from the battlefield. Be bold and resolute, and offer your head in the service of Allah. Fix your feet firmly in the ground. Keep your eyes on the last row of your enemy. You must reach there after overthrowing the front rows, for you must not overlook the movements of rear ranks and merely concentrate on the front line. Do not waver and do not get nervous. Remember that only Allah can help, and He should be trusted upon. Sermon 16. After the Battle of Jamal, one of his companions congratulated Imam Ali on his success and said he wished his brother was also present there to witness the victory. The Imam asked him whether his brother was a friend and follower of the faith, and getting the reply in the affirmative, he said, then he was with us in our army. Not only he, but even those of our friends and supporters who are yet to be born in times to come were with me in this battle, and in them the true Islam will find its power. Sermon 17. After having defeated the Basrites in the Battle of Jamal and taking possession of Basra and adjoining provinces, the Imam delivered this sermon in which he condemned the activities of Basrites. Allama Ibn Masam in his book quotes this sermon with the following sentence, which is missing in Sayyid Razi's compilation. O people of Basra, you citizens of Mutafika, a very old name of Basra, which was thrice inundated, and on every occasion all of its citizens were drowned. I'm afraid you have earned the fourth destruction. You Basrites, you were in the army commanded by a woman, al-Mu'mineen Aisha, and you were the followers of an animal, the camel of al-Mu'mineen, which was used as a banner in the Battle of Jamal, and around which the Basrites had flocked. You obeyed the blubbering and braying of that camel as if it was a command from a leader, and when the animal was killed, you routed and ran away. You are wicked and depraved in nature, faithless and untrustworthy in character, and hypocrites and schismatic in religion. Even the waters of your wells, reflecting the sourness of your disposition, are brackish. Those who live amidst you are forced to lead a life of sin, and those who sever relations with you will receive the blessings of all-merciful Allah. As if I see the whole city of Basra inundated once again, and the Masjid of Basra standing in the midst like a boat on the bosom of the sea. It appears as if the curse of Allah has swept you in the form of a flood, submerging everything in its way, low-lying areas as well as highlands. There are a few other versions of this last paragraph of the Imam's speech which are given below. I swear by Allah that surely your city waited in such a way that the masjid will appear like a boat with bulging breast, or like an ostrich seated on the ground. The masjid of Basra will look like the breast of a seabird swimming on the surface of the sea. You Basrites, can you not realize that your city is extremely dirty and stinking? It is so near to water Persian Gulf on one side, and confluence of Euphrates and Tigris on the other. And yet, on account of your evil thoughts and deeds, you are far removed from the blessings of the heaven. You even cannot take advantage of these bounties of nature. Out of the evil, corruption, vices and sins spread all over the earth. 9/10 are concentrated here. They engulf those who come to this city, and those who run away from your surroundings receive the pardon of Allah. With my insight, I see your city submerged in such a way that only white minarets of its masjid appear above the water level like seabirds on the surface of a sea. This prophecy also came true. The rivers of Tigris and Euphrates flooded the city and completely submerged it, leaving the minarets off. Sermon 18. This sermon is also in rebuke of Basarites. Though your land is so near to water Persian Gulf on one side, and the confluence of Euphrates and Tigris on the other, yet on account of your evil thoughts and deeds, you are so far removed from blessings of the heaven. You are not in a position to take advantage of these bounties of nature. You are ignorant and stupid, and in your minds sagacity and wisdom have given place to foolishness and idiocy. You are a very conspicuous target for those who want to hurt you, a soft morsel, conveniently to be swallowed, and an easy prey to be hunted. Sermon 19. Before reading this note, please read the notes to Sermon 20 and 22, for this sermon ought to have been placed after them. After the events, as described in the above notes, when Imam Ali took charge of rulership of Islamic State, he found the Caliph Uthman had granted large estates and fiefs to his relatives. According to Ibn Abil Hadid and Abu Uthman Jahiz, when Muslims invaded Armenia and conquered it, Caliph Uthman granted all of the Qum's income of this rich estate to Marwan bin Hakam. The Imam did not approve this type of nepotism and squandering of public wealth. He handed back all these fiefs and estates to the public exchequer. On that occasion, he delivered the following sermon. By Allah, if I had found that public money had been squandered even in celebrating marriages and in purchasing slave girls, I would have taken them back and would have handed them over to the state, because functions and responsibilities of justice and equity are far-reaching and far extended. One who does not boldly act according to the dictates of justice and fair play will feel very nervous in facing tyranny and oppression. Sermon 20. Most of the commentators regard this sermon as the first to be delivered by Imam Ali on the occasion when people flocked around him to induce him to accept the rulership of the Islamic State after the death of Caliph Uthman. In it, the Imam has advised the people as what to expect: the cruel times ahead, small number of followers of truth and justice, perils, disasters, and death which they will have to face, and the ascendancy of vice over virtue and of falsehood over truth. Refer note to the Sermon 21. I hold myself responsible for what I say, and I guarantee the truth of my assertions. If there are those who remember well the hardships, trials, and distress of the early days of Islam, and if there are those who can correctly anticipate and foresee the cruel times ahead, times fraught with uncertainties, perils and disasters, fear of Allah can restrain them from rashly and nervously doubting the teachings of Islam, and can help them stand up to unknown and undreamt of ordeals in the way of accepting the principles of truth and justice. Beware that you are being spiritually tried and tested at this hour, and you will find hardships, perils and calamities reappearing in the same forms as befell you when Allah first ordered our holy prophet, peace of Allah be upon him and his descendants, to deliver his message and to propagate Islam. I swear by him who appointed Muhammad, peace of Allah be upon him, as his messenger and as an apostle worthy of his trust, that the existing order and form of your society will be subjected to satanical destruction. Its major parts will be vehemently disturbed, and its various sections will be violently mixed up, till the lowest and the meanest amongst you will find themselves in high status, and exalted persons will find themselves humiliated and persecuted. Those who from the time of the rise of Islam were very advanced in the service of religion will be pushed back, And those hypocrites who then had been lagging behind and waiting for favorable opportunities will be raised to high ranks. I swear by Allah that I do not keep back anything which deserves disclosure, and I have never spoken a lie. Believe me when I tell you that the developments of the grim events ending in the present situation and the happenings of the day have long ago been revealed to me. Remember that these sins are like unmanageable rebellious sins ridden by sinners who have no hold on the bridles, and these uncontrollable animals are rushing along with their riders madly towards hell, while fear of Allah is like trained and submissive horses under full control of their riders, pacing with fast but gentle steps towards paradise. Remember that there are two ways of life, the right and the wrong, and there are two kinds of people, those who follow the right path and those who adopt wrong ways. If you find the evildoers in majority or in ascendancy, and followers of religion and truth in minority, and downtrodden in a world full of apparent contradictions, do not feel surprised or disappointed. It has often happened like that. But truth and justice will prevail in the end, though it may not appear possible that those fallen low will ever rise to great heights. Sermon 21. This sermon is considered by some commentators as a part of Sermon 20. See the note at the end. In it, Imam Ali has described the three kinds of persons found in a society, and also the best course to be followed in life. A person who keeps in mind the consequences and reactions of his acts and deeds, the eternal reward and the eternal punishment, and who's busy molding his life with the ultimate destination in view, has no time for vice and wickedness. You will find three types of people in a society: those who exert and strive to be good and to do good. Their salvation is certain. Those who are lazy and lethargic, tardy staggerers, inactively and ineffectively hoping for the best. And lastly, those who are defaulters and failures in duty shall end in hell. Remember that extremes of right and left will lead you astray. Moderation is the best course for you to adopt. It will keep you within the four corners of the teachings of the Holy Quran and the tradition of our Prophet. It is a path which will guide you to the true impressions of the doctrines and life of the Prophet. It will lead you to the fountainhead of Sunnah, tradition, and along it is the correct route to liberation. Whoever claims to know a better path to salvation than the one disclosed by the Holy Prophet is doomed. Who frames and invents lies against its true principles is condemned, and one who tries to oppose its precepts is destined to eternal destruction. No individual is lost, and no nation is refused prosperity and success if basis of their thoughts and actions rest upon piety and godliness, and upon truth and justice. Do not create disturbance and discord among men. Let there be peace and tranquility, and try to advance friendship and unity. Concentrate on atonement of your misdeeds. Do not praise anybody but your Allah, and do not condemn anyone but your own self. Sermon 22. Some commentators are of the opinion is a censor and document of those persons who assume the status of qazi, judge, without having qualification or capacity for this kind of responsible work. Amongst men, Allah the Almighty detests most two kinds of people. Firstly, the person who takes wrong advantage of the freedom and ease allowed to him by circumstances and does not realize that he is being given an opportunity. He deviates from the right path. It's driven by inordinate desires to create schism through his talks, loves to lead people astray, and misguides all those who could be deceived by him. He wanders away from the right path of the virtuous people gone before him, and during his life and even after his death, he leads others to depravity and vice. Having pawned his own soul for sin, he carries the responsibility of sins of others also. And then the person who has collected half-truths, ideas, and wrong concepts, and is consequently busy spreading apostasy among the ignorant and uneducated, is habitually engaged in evil deeds of creating dissensions and discords among his fellow men, and is blind to the blessings of peace, wisdom, and knowledge, though he actually is neither learned nor wise. From his early life, he has been collecting the ideas, the abundance of which is more injurious to man than their scarcity, till his soul is saturated with wicked notions and perverted beliefs, and his mind is filled with useless and harmful ideas. He pretends to be a judge, qazi, taking up the responsibility of unraveling such intricate problems as have often bewildered and baffled others. If an ambiguous problem is presented before him, he tries to solve it with the help of incorrect or irrelevant and often absurd or irrational concepts, thinking them to be correct, authentic, and genuine. In fact, on account of doubts and uncertainties created by incorrect knowledge, his mind is always in confusion, worst confounded.